Welcome back, team. Today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing in detail the rank 1 Sett player in the entire world at the moment. He's the only Sett player who's currently challenger on the Korean solo queue ladder, and not only that, he was nice enough to add me and give me some extra tips, answer my questions, and help me make this guide, so I really hope you enjoy it. I know you guys have been asking for quite some time now for me to make a Sett video, so I hope you learn a lot and enjoy the video. First up, we're going to be covering the runes, but just in case you're curious about his ban, he bans Jace pretty much every single game, which makes a lot of sense. It's one of the best top lane champions in the game at the moment and really popular in Korea. A lot of great Jace players, so a really good ban for him. Now for his rune pages, starting with Conqueror, he takes us in matchups where he can force extended trades. So matchups like Darius, matchups like Olaf, where you can fight them for an extended period of time. In fact, you pretty much have to into matchups like that. He'll take Conqueror. He doesn't really swap anything out except for bone plating to second wind. Of course, if they can pop bone plating very easily, he'll run that instead. But other than that, he doesn't change anything that you see on the screen at the moment. Now for his grass page. This is one that he takes into matchups where he has to take short trades, and he doesn't really have the option to force that extended trade with Conqueror and run people down. So of course range matchups or champions like Rumble, champions even like Mbessa or Fiora, where you think they're melee champions, you might be able to run them down. You can't really do that. They're gonna force the short trades onto you and space you out and kite you, so being able to just proc grass very easily with your Q is gonna be the play for you in most situations. Now he also doesn't change anything out on this tree except for bone plating in certain situations and conditioning in matchups where they're gonna be CCing you quite often. So the most common one is Rumble and Cassante, really popular in Korea as well, and they have perma slow, so you're getting a lot of value from conditioning into them. But other than those types of champions that can perma slow you or stun you, you can just run overgrowth and be fine. Now, as for the summoner spells, it's relatively straightforward. He does run TP and Flash pretty much every single game. The exception to that is he will run Ignite Flash into really volatile melee matchups where you're forced to fight them a lot, especially if they have healing. So champs like Darius, Olaf, Warwick, and Trundle, those are the big four that he runs Ignite into pretty much every single game. Just keep in mind, for the average player, you can run Ignite more often, especially if you're playing in ranks Emerald and below. You can take Ignite into a lot of melee volatile matchups. It doesn't have to just be that form, but if you are playing in Masters Plus, I would say those four are going to be the best matchups for you to run Ignite into. Moving on to the item builds. Now for your starting item, it's a pretty straightforward formula. You take D-Shield into short trade matchups, champions like Fiora, who are going to put you down with Q, or an Mbessa, or into any range champion, and D-Blade into matches where you can force extended trades into them, like a Garen or a Darius. Especially if you have Conqueror as well, D-Blade value does go up. Now for his first buy, he actually often defaults to Phage. He will go Healing Cut if it's a good Healing Cut game, so into Aatrox he goes it, into champions like Warwick, but most of the time he goes Phage into straight Stridebreaker Rush. The exceptions to that is if he's versus range champions, of course, or if he's up against Renekton. He says you need to rush tier 2 boots in Ninja Tabby into Renekton, but pretty much every other melee champion he just goes straight Stridebreaker with Phage as his priority over Tiamat. Now for the boots, pretty straightforward as well. You go Tabbies into heavy AD auto attackers, Merc Treads if you need the tenacity. Prioritize Merc Treads over Tabbies if both are good, because you need that tenacity, especially in games where they have champs like Leona, Lissandra, champs like that running around. Now in Swifty boots, it's just if you don't really need one of the other two, or if you base with enough gold for it. Especially into matchups like Olaf, it can be really good, and if you find yourself basing on 1k gold, especially into range matchups where you don't really need Tabbies or Merc Treads that badly, like in Aurora, something like that, Swifty boots can be great as well. Now, of course, Stridebreaker, that's going to be your first item. There's no exception to that. And for your second item, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So Sterak's is the default. So you go that if you don't know what to buy, and just as your standard second core. Now, for Hullbreaker, this is really good in matchups where they can't really deal with the Cannon Minion that well. So champions like Gragas, champions like Rumble, really hard for them to deal with you in side lane. And he does like to go the Hullbreaker in games where he's snowballing as well. On top of if they can't deal with it, Hullbreaker is a great item for you to snowball even more and collect tier 2 towers, especially into those champions like Kennen as well, that can't really deal with the minion. Now, Overlords, this is one that I had to add him and ask about. Why does he build this item second when pretty much every other Sett player builds it third or fourth? And the reasoning he told me for it, there are three main reasons why you'd go Overlord second. If you already have frontline on your team that are going to be getting in, getting stuck in and diving, engaging like a Zac jungle, you don't really need the survivability of Sterak's that badly. Also, if you just need more damage, if you don't really have that damage on your team, this item provides you more damage than Sterak's does, so a good pickup, or if you need to win side lane as well, as it does give you a bit more 1v1 side lane threat, than Sterex does, even though Sterex can be a little bit better in a teamfight setting. So those are the 3 main reasons why you'd build Overlords. Other than that, Hullbreaker into games where you can make progress 1v1 into them if they can't deal with the minion, and Sterex is your default, especially if you don't have other frontline on your team. Now I'm going to showcase some full build examples. This is what your build's going to look like depending on what you build as your second item. I also had to ask him what you build as your 4-5, because in Korea the game's in so quickly and he doesn't really get more than 3 items most of the time, and he just told me Force of Nature Deadman's Plate depending on the game. Some games he does upgrade his healing cut if he has to buy it early into like a Warwick, something like that. He will fully upgrade it into a Chimpunk, but most of the time this is what his 6 item build will look like depending on what you build second. So the main variable to keep in mind is the Spear of Shojin third. This is a game where, like we talked about, you want to be getting more damage from the Overlords. Spear of Shojin is going to do that as well. Doesn't mean you have to build it third every time. You can build Sterex if you want a bit more survivability or tenacity at that point, Force of Nature or Deadman's at that point if you need it, but Spear of Shojin is going to be a great item for you if you do need extra damage on that point on top of your Overlord's Bloodmail. Moving on to skill maxing. Now, as for ability you skill level 1, he told me he skills W level 1 90% of the time. The reasoning for that is you can proc Shield Bash level 1, and of course the trade is going to be a lot bigger for you, especially if you take Grasp. W level 1 is going to be the play most of the time. However, he told me he does skill E level 1 in certain situations if the opponent is playing too aggressive and walking onto your side of the wave, walking past trying to fight you onto your side of the minions. He will skill E level 1 in that situation, but he told me pretty much 90% of the time he will go for that W start and look for that big trade with Shield Bash. Now, as for what he maxes the Q pretty much every single time. He only maxes W in matchups like Kennen, Jace, Nah, champs like that, really hard range matchups, but even in that situation, he'll just do 3 points in W into Q max. Next up, we're going to be covering the laning phase, starting with the Mbissa matchup, one of the strongest top lane champs in the game at the moment. And you can see in this situation where his opponent face checks him, he did go for that E start trying to pull her in and get an extra trade, but more often than not it will be W start instead. So we'll let the wave come in. You can see Mbissa played it quite well, walking in with the wave level 1, warding the bush, so not allowing yourself to get cheesed. One thing I was really impressed with Raphael in this game was his early game wave control, which we'll see really shortly. So you can see trying to fish for the E level 1, pretty good spacing by Mbissa, but you can see the way he's going for it. He's not just running at her and Eing, he's clicking backwards towards the wave to bait her to click backwards. If you click away, they click towards you. That's the natural pattern. So you can see he tried to do it, but she clicked backwards really quickly. So good spacing by her. So we can see he's going to be looking to take a trade whenever he can, proc that grasp, but Mbissa does have that spacing advantage. So looking to let the wave come in. Now, one thing I really liked here, it's a really good trade, of course, and then you realize I can't slow down my push anymore. I need to get this wave in as fast as I can. So he started nuking this wave. So pushing in the wave as fast as he can, going for a 2-wave crash. Maybe not as fast as he can, but didn't want to miss any farm, of course. So gets wave 2 in. Now, what he did on wave 3 is a really good trick to do on Sett, something we talked a little bit about in our Winter Crash wave 2 or wave 3 guide. So goes for the trade here, E autos into W, and now he sees I've chunked this wave. I can't really trade on Mbissa in this situation with the wave so close, especially with my abilities being on cooldown. So he pushes this wave as fast as he can, and if you do get wave 3 in relatively quickly, wave 4 will bounce back to the center pretty much in the starting position. So you can see now, not only has he maintained prio and the level advantages this whole time, now the wave is back to the center so he can continue forcing big trades onto her. Really good wave control by him. So good trade there as well, just going for the max range W for poke. The E's haven't always hit, but you can see the opportunities going for the optimistic max range E's could be devastating if he hits them. So slows down his push now, tries to get the trade onto her, and as the wave coming in, now he's going to be looking to continuously trade. You can see he always tries to poke them under tower as well when his E and W is up. But here you can see the waves bouncing back, lets her come into him, pulls her away from the tower, so able to get a good trade. E into Q, holds W until she jumps away, able to land that as well. So really good trading from him, and again, I need to get this wave in as fast as I can, and actually plays for the dive here. So approaches, doesn't quite have his W up, so waits a little bit, and now you can see if you touch this minion, I'm going to go, able to get the stun off that minion. So you can see the angle there as well. The minion wasn't literally behind him, he can pull it from an angle, so pretty good angle from him here. You can see just off to the side, able to get a really beautiful stun onto it and pick up that nice solo kill. So now if we skip ahead a little bit, just recalling TPing back to lane, looking to grow his advantage even more. And if you're curious about what he bought, just like we talked about, Phage as his first item, looking to get Stride Breaker as soon as possible. Now, one thing that I really like that he did in this situation is the way he used his ulti. Where a lot of people hold ulti unless it's for a kill or in Seeking Undertale, something like that, but he uses it purely for a chunk. So you'll see why very shortly, pre-moving on level 6 as well, burning W to make Mbissa feel confident to approach, and then pulls it back in with E, and able to get a nice trade with the ulti here, using it purely for the chunk, and now Mbissa has no options, especially especially if your opponent doesn't have TP, you want to be using your ulti just for a chunk, it's perfectly fine, because now she can't play the game at all. She's stuck here suffering, and if it wasn't weak-sided for a little bit, where Nocturne came top, Viego was bottom, they probably could have dove her 1v1 straight away. But I'll skip it a little bit. You can just see right after Void Grubs, he called up the Viego, and they were able to get that dive off in the end. Not the cleanest dive, I might add, but you can just see this whole time that I skipped ahead, the Ambassador had no options, and the Sett player was able to grow his lead more and more. Next up, we have Sett versus Rumble. And one thing that he does extremely well into ranged top laners or just strong lane bullies like Rumble or Gangplank is making the lane extremely volatile. Sett with D-Shield, Second Wind, and his Sett passive, so much extra regen, even if the trades go even or slightly losing, it's going to benefit him in the end. Of course, the trade went well for him in this situation, but you can see his intent in a lot of the games that he plays is making it volatile straight away and abusing the extra regen that he has on the majority of top lane champions. So here, playing aggressive, not letting Rumble get his recall off, and yet again taking over his favorite bush. So trying to walk behind his opponent level 1, force a big trade, making it really uncomfortable for them to even touch the wave at all, and even if he takes damage on the way, it's going to benefit him in the long run. You can see here he even managed his own experience, making it really hard for Rumble to play, but he himself stopped just within XP range, so he could so-call that and not miss out on anything. So really good straight away. Now, I like his wave control again in this game, where before, because he played aggressive and pissed off the wave and damaged it, he had to 2-wave crash. But in this situation, even though he's been beating up the Rumble, he didn't bother the wave at all, so he can slow it down and go for a nice wave 3 crash, as you'll see here. Zoning the Rumble as much as he can, and then in the end getting that wave 3 crash, which means wave 4 is going to bounce back near the center, so that he can take over his favorite bush and trade all over again. So really good stuff by him. And you can see here, sneaks behind the Rumble, leads with Q, holds onto E until the last possible timer where he has to use it, holds onto W as well until just at the very end, not really wanting to use his E or his W when he's still in auto attack range, or E range for his W, so that he can really maximize his auto attacks. So now he has to crash wave 4 and he's planning on a dive. He's got a big XP lead, big HP lead, Rumble no potions, so he goes for the dive here. Now, Rumble did play it quite well. He flashed just in time. This EW auto would have killed him for sure with Shield Bash, but a really good flash by him. So he just loops back around, recalls, and TPs back to lane. Now, this is where Rumble start to play a bit better, but one thing you need to keep in mind is the XP lead that he gained from level 1 and burning Rumble Flash, where of course Rumble Flash is more valuable for him in terms of staying alive than Sett Flash, so it's definitely a worthwhile trade. So here he's just trying to let the wave come back into him so that he can look to run down this Rumble. Even though he has Grasp, he's still going to win the extended trade most of the time. It does depend, maybe if Rumble's level 5 with Overheat, but typically, especially in this game where he's got an advantage, he's fine to take an extended trade anyway. So here you can see Rumble, the spacing is getting a bit better from him, just using W whenever he's poked down and he can hit it, trying to proc Grasp as well, and then looking just to back off and play differently when his spells are down. Of course, Sett, one of the champions with the longest base cooldowns in top lane, so when your WE is on cooldown, you need to play really respectful like he is now. You can see he spent 90% of the game running at this Rumble, but when his spells are down he changes it. Now you can see, like a switch, the second his abilities are back up, playing really aggressive. Now he did miss the E there, but you can see the intent behind it. It has to be a switch in your mind. When your spells are down, you chill back, you farm. When they're up, you play super aggressive. It does seem pretty basic, but a lot of players make this mistake. It's really good to reiterate it. Now you can see letting the wave come in, planning his all in if you keep an eye on his XP bar, about to be level 6, so he's going to be playing off that timer. So now you can go pre-moving on level 6, stuns him on here, he knows I'm going to get level 6 during this fight, there's no way I can lose it, pops ulti here, holds onto W until the last timer. As long as he can auto attack, he doesn't normally waste his W, because he doesn't want to stop his character's movement and miss out on that DPS here. So even here, his W would have got spaced, he wants to hold on to it until now. Really perfect solo kill from him. Moving on to Sett into Gwen. So you can see yet again trying to get a strong level 1 trade from the bush. One thing that I like that he did here, where normally in most matchups where you're stronger, you let the wave come in, you let it settle, and then you go for the trade. But here he knows if he does that, Gwen will walk up, start hitting the wave, get 4 stacks of passive, probably get prime, so he leaves straight away, starts hitting the wave, and then comes down, walks behind her, a bit of extra damage on the wave, and starting the trade early, so that she can't stack up Q for free. So takes a big trade here, you can see he holds onto W until the very end, gets a really big chunk onto it, and then it's a switch. Playing completely different when his ability is on cooldown, you can see barely touching the wave unless Gwen lets him. Playing really patient. There he's okay to get hit because his grit bar would still be there when his W comes back up. You don't need your grit bar to literally be back up. You just need it to be ready when you need it. So here, even though he took a Gwen Q to the head, his W's only 4 seconds off. So as long as he keeps fighting, his grip bar will maintain. And he almost got a solo kill here. He actually could have gone for it, but he decided to back out and space out the Q. Could have gone for the flash auto, but really good trade nonetheless. So you can see already Gwen's going to be bleeding out so much XP. She has to base and buy some crappy item like refill. He's in a really good position at the moment. So trims the wave, not stronger at the moment though. Of course, she just spaced and came back. So he does have to play a little bit more passive. Going for the optimistic E there, trying to pull under tower. You can see even the best Sett player in the world not going to hit every E. There are those max range E's that you want to be going for. If they hit, you get a big payoff for it. Of course, in that one, he would have pulled around to tower. And if it misses, not a big deal. You just play differently when it's down. He gets a trade there, trims the wave, and then looks to base and TP. Now, his skirmishing was also pretty next level here, as you'll see. Really, really good mechanical player. So TP's in here. You can see he starts to play the fight out. He knows his jungler doesn't have flash. He just used it there. Going on the Gwen. He knows Gwen has no flash, so it goes on to her. And then you can see flash blocks the Viego W to save his Xin Zhao, stopping the Viego from resetting, and then goes for the kill on Gwen. So really, really nice stuff from him. I'd say Gwen actually did have flash, my bad there, but you can just see the foresight to know if Viego gets the stun onto Xin Zhao and he dies, he's going to get the possess. That fight's unplayable. Flash blocks it even though he was currently fighting the Gwen, and then turns on her after. Now, we're going to be wrapping up this guide with a full game review to break down how exactly he snowballs an early game lead into the mid game and closes out a game on this champion. And if you're curious about why he has a completely different setup into Ambessa this game compared to our first laning phase VOD that we watched, he was pretty sure it was Darius top. Of course, his Raider going Darius mid, so he got a little bit screwed over there. But it's still fine. He does prefer Graspment to this matchup, but Conqueror is not the end of the world here. So you can see in this game, because he took a really volatile trade level 1 and 2, he has to go for a wave 2 crash in this game. So speeds up his push, gets wave 2 under tower, so wave 3 will bounce back away from the Ambessa's tower so that he can continue trading. So really consistent good wave control for the first 3 waves, really important on Sett. So EW there, into autos, proccing shield bash as well. So nice little trade there as well. And there he's level 3 versus 2, so not afraid to extend the trade a bit more. Of course, this game is Conqueror, not Grasp, so an extended trade is a little bit better for him. So now wave 4 coming in, you can see he's going to be looking for a trade yet again. E holds onto W, waits for it to get away, manages to hit the center part as well, as Ambessa was pretty stuck against the wall there. So slows down, you can see he's clicking far back when his EW is down, not wanting to play too aggressive, but here he's level 4, so he's fine to walk up and risk Ambessa trading onto him, especially when he has the wave as well. So he manages to get the stun there, so we're going to go back and see how exactly he did that. You can see yet again, really similar to before, the matchup we watched before, the corner of the minion. He doesn't walk past it, just on the very edge of the E range, you can see he can still get the stun, E into Q into auto W, no W actually, just the ignite, manages to get the fade away kill. So really nice stuff, really impressive, maximizing his E usage instead of spending that extra half second walking in front of the minion and giving him some more time to react. Really maximizes the very edge of his E range so that he can still get the stun onto her. So now on his way back to lane, if you're curious about what he's building, yet again rushing that phage ASAP, going into stride breaker with no delay. So tries to get a trade straight away, doesn't manage to hit the E, but it's fine, goes for the fadeaway W at the very end. Now, I was curious why he traded without E and W. He's just confident he can win it, even with the Q, and abuse his extra sustain that he has over that champion. So you can see yet again, pre-moving on level 5, really consistent abuse of level up timers, not just waiting for the level itself, but pre-moving before he gets it. Unlucky on the W there, just out of range, but still a great trade regardless. So really good at slow pushing as well, really trying to build up this wave as long as he can, and give himself more timer to trade. So you can see a gank's on the way. I'll put it on his vision. He doesn't actually know the gank's coming, but he knows he can get level 6 during this timer. So forces the fight here, goes on Dino right away. As long as he can keep hitting the closest target, doesn't really matter for him. EW into the shield bash, manages to pick up the kill straight away, gets 6 and ulties. Really nice 1v2. So really massive lead in this game. Insta recall as well, doesn't want to kill his tempo at all. So really good discipline as well. Now yet again, you're going to have a similar game plan. Just keep trading onto Ambessa whenever he can and try to blow up this tower. So you can see no boots at all, straight stride breaker rush, really consistent for him against most melee champions, apart from of course Renekton. So Kane comes in, but unfortunately he lost in champ select and picked Kane, so the gank's not going to work at all, but it's fine, he's got the wave in a great state, able to get a nice E ignite and burn the Ambessa's flash there. So now tries to stop the recall as well, putting a lot of pressure onto her, knows he can't really get this wave in time before she gets back to lane, so yet again another great slow push. So pretty good wave control from him. Really important for any Sett player to focus a lot on your wave control because this champion doesn't really have ways to farm from a distance, way to trade that well under tower. Of course, this guy's been doing it quite well, but it's still a good habit to get into, building these massive slow pushes so there's no way the opponent can fight you back. So good trade onto them. Doesn't want to leave his wave in an awkward position, so stays to get the wave in, and unfortunately does get ganked again. Doesn't really go as well for him the second time around. Doesn't have his ignite here. So, and just the Ambassador got out of range before he could ulti, so he just had to switch targets onto the Adina there, so a little bit unfortunate for him. So let's skip it a little bit, get straight back to lane here. You can see really close to Stride Breaker on this timer, so mainly going to be playing for that. Yet again, forcing the big trade onto the Ambassador there, going to Fog down, going for a proxy. Once he has Tiamat, he starts to proxy a lot more often, also soaks the tower plate there, and decided against the proxy. I'm pretty sure he just didn't know where Diana was, if we look at the map here. So he had to play a bit more respectful on this timer, and his base, grab his Stride Breaker, and come straight back to lane. Diana did end up showing in the end, I'm pretty sure, which is a little bit unlucky for him, but not worth the risk for him in that situation. So now, he's got Stride Breaker, he's going to be switching how he plays from aggressive to extremely aggressive, and trying to play for the solo kill on this timer, and get that tower down as quick as he can. So now you can't really slow push anymore once you have Tiamat or Stride Breaker, so he's mainly going to be looking to hard push and be more involved in the game. So Fog's down, make sure he carries the grub fight for his team. They didn't end up contesting, of course they'll just get obliterated by the Sett, so go straight back to top here. So now you can see manages to pull in the Ambassador yet again, abusing Stride Breaker as well. So walks towards her, pops Stride Breaker into E, cancels the W hop and able to get a nice trade, fade away W at the very end as well. So now you can see he's really keen to play for a dive. His goal here is to get this tower down as fast as he can and really blow open the map. So one-shots his wave, walks up, his jungler's here, his Galio's here, so the Ambassador has to run away, and able to really put a lot of work down on this tower. Of course, Sett just obliterates towers. If you get any opportunity to do this, you're going to be in a good position. And unlucky for Ambassador, she is playing top lane and gets the top lane treatment, but because her champion has a lot of dashes, she's able to get away. You can see the Sett wasn't that interested in the kill. He just wanted to get this tower down as fast as possible. He didn't really care about this very much. He's just fully been down this tower, so good discipline by him, not wasting too much time. So gets the wave in, backs out here, looking for a Fog on mid, and decides it's not really going to be worth it as they went into bot jungle, so he just ended up basing and picking up his tier 2 boots. So straight back to top, you can know he's going to be playing for the top tier 2 here. In a game where he's far enough ahead, he often does play for the tier 2 side towers, and a lot of games where he can't really make that progress, a lot of time he will just look for proactive plays. So here, you can see he's even fogging around in case a play happens, running into the jungle, and trying to really take it over, help his jungler get the red buff, but he is going to go back to top in the end. So you can see here, pushing in the wave, looking to create that pressure. He knows I won't make it to this fight in time. Better for me to play for the tier 2 instead. So one-shots the wave, tries to beat down this tower as much as he can, and able to pick up a huge influx of gold already. Turns on to the Ambassador here, not scared at all, just keeps fighting her. Maybe he should be a little bit scared the cavalry is coming, but he is going to be fine in the end, pretty sure, able to play this out. So turns on to the Ambassador, got the Galio ulti as well, W flash to follow with the ignite kill, so really good skirmishing by him. So we'll go back to it. We can see here, he's kiting out, he's buying time for his Galio to come. He knows that they're going to go onto him here, so he gets ready to turn, sidesteps the Rakan W at the last second. You can see holding on to his W for a really long time. Fires the ulti here, W flashes onto him. Able to pick up the nice kill as well. Stride Breaker at the very end for a bit of extra damage, so she bleeds out to ignite. So keeps fighting, just keeps punching as much as he can, gets the double stun as well, even from side to side. So able to really be a big turning point in the skirmish. They didn't end up winning it in the end, but I'd still say he contributed as much as he possibly could have. So now moving on to the next sequence, if you're curious about his strategy here, it's going to be pretty similar to before, playing for these bot towers. And if you're curious about his build, he went for a Hull Breaker in this game. And you might be curious why Hull Breaker versus Ambassador, that's not a champion like Kennen that struggles with the super creep. And the reason for that, he's so far ahead in this game, winning through side is a realistic option for him. He can ignore Ambassador and break the tower if he has that Hull Breaker, so really realistic options to win through side for him. Now one thing I like that he did here with his lane assignments is after he killed this wave, he based and swapped with Galio. Two reasons for that. Galio has TP and he's very, very self-sufficient. He can be weak-sided here and TP into the play if needed. And this guy doesn't have his TP at the moment. He's got Ignite this game before he was versus Darius. So he wanted to be next to the Herald in case a fight did break out. Now here as well, he fogs down to the play. This is a really common thing you should do. If Herald is dropped anywhere, doesn't matter what team, both teams normally will gravitate towards it. So most of the time, unless you're breaking a tier 2 or something like that and just, letting the play happen, most of the time you want to be ready for the fight. The enemy enemy team has to group up to hold it, and you want to be ready to fight in case a fight does break out. So comes here and you can see exactly that. A fight did happen. Not the best looking fight in the world. Quite a weird dive. But of course, Sett really good at diving. Goes for the REW onto Rakan. But Rakan flashed it, so he didn't end up getting that combo that he wanted. This guy is definitely not afraid of getting stuck in and making mistakes. You're going to see it time and time again this game. But he also makes a lot of high impact plays as well. So you can see now, basing, he's going to be heading straight onto the map, most likely around top, next to this Artican. Again, Galio, self-sufficient champion with TP. He's fine to put him bottom, and he himself play with the team as if he is the mid laner in this game. So you can see his team groups up here. He wants to be ready for the fight. Why is he going for this fight right now, even though he has Hullbreaker? He doesn't have time to get this top wave all the way to tier 3 and make any meaningful progress before a fight breaks out. The fight was already going to happen. You can tell by the body language. I guarantee if right now his Maokai was basing or something like that and Kane was doing golems, he would go straight top and push in the wave. You need to read the body language of the game and be ready in case a fight breaks out. That's exactly what he did here. He saw that it's a high chance of a fight. He was ready for it and he was able to come here and be a contributor to this team fight here. So really good stuff by him. Managed to get the mid tower as well. It's not just a matter of, oh, my teammates, there's no objective to group up for, I can just play aside, anything like that. You need to read the body language of the fights. So really good by him here. Managed to get a kill on the Israel. Unfortunately, he did get dunked on. Like I said, not afraid to get stuck in, have some throws, have some carries, but a highly impactful player nonetheless. So we can see here, it's going to speed up until he respawns, and again, straight back onto the map. Most of his games, he does have relatively low CS, because this is his main playstyle. Really fight heavy and early skirmishing, which is what you want to be doing on Sett. You're not going to be min-maxing side and carrying it 3 items level 16, like you would on a Gwen. Sett does have a pretty good spike later on in the game, but that's not really your objective. So you can see he groups up straight at the Artican, manages to come in, holds onto his EW for a while. He's already in range to auto attack, doesn't need to use it until now. Really fat EW onto these two, and just keeps fighting, beats down this Darius. So really good stuff by him. Even though he built Hullbreaker, he knew he just can't afford to not be at this fight here or not be at this Artican fight. He didn't have time in that situation to create pressure and blow up a tier 2 or a tier 3 before the fight broke out. So really good at reading when he needs to be grouped up, when he needs to be in side lane. But I would say one thing he could work on is definitely this overcommitting in fights. But it's working for him most of the time, so no complaints there. So now it gets the Artican, picks the flowers, basing straight away, straight back onto the map for Dragon. You can see he's trying to fight literally everything that he can. You cannot be greedy on this champion. You need to be fighting during your strong moments. Exactly what he's doing here, especially in a game that's relatively even, or your team's ahead. So groups up here. Fogging around. I'd say here he's overgrouping a bit, so this is good by him on his way back bottom. But again, let me put it on his vision. The body language of the team. They're clumping up here. They're getting vision. He really wants to be part of this fight. And you can see he's going bottom. He pinged on his way. Let his team know I need to be bottom on this timer. There was no fight here. This is a time for me to play more so greedy inside here. So fogging now, hard for him to ignore Darius and hit the tower, of course. So he ends up just thinking about basing and getting his item. But he wants to be maintaining this pressure as much as he can. So he gets the wave in, playing for this tier 2, his teammates help him out here, manages to pick it up, and then base for his third item. So he goes for Styrax here third to survive that burst. They do have a lot of burst with the Darius and Diana, stuff like that. So really good itemization from him. And goes straight back top, grouped up around Baron. Not trying to be greedy here, not trying to go bottom. He knows if any fight happens around Baron and I'm bottom, the game is over. So I need to be ready for this one. So he goes for a nice deep flank. Really good strategy to do on Sett, especially if you have flash up. Really nice creative angle here. I would say he should swap to sweeper if he's going for these types of flanks, but nonetheless a good position for him. So letting them come in, trying to play around this Baron, maintaining this bush, trying to pick them as they come in. So you can see he runs out here, stride breaker into E, just out of E range, a little bit unlucky from him, but Dinah would have had flash anyway. So comes back, looking to play for this fight. You can see holding this angle. Really important to have good positioning on Sett. You don't want to be playing catch up when the engage does happen. So you can see Gallo gets some CC, and he goes in right away. So big R onto 3 people. Goes for the 2-man E onto these 2. Holds onto his W for a really long time. W flash, one-shot the jungler. Really good team fighting, and backs out just before the Darius gets 5 stacks as well. So really clean stuff by him. Really good positioning. Ready to follow up the second a fight happened, and was able to completely carry this Baron situation. So 2 people coming in here, you can see just try to get Baron as quick as they can, and then turn later on. So chasing the play here, you can see it's going to be relatively straightforward, just running it in with the Maokai ulti, picking up as many kills as he can here. So now heading onto the map for the final time this game, if you're curious about his 4th item, any tunneler item is fine, it doesn't really matter, but most likely going towards Overlords. So comes straight mid out of base, and this is nothing fancy, just groups up, kills this Darius, and then ignores the Diana. This guy means business, so trying to end the game right away. So I'd say the most impressive thing from this mid game that we can learn from is when to group and when to side lane. He had a really good grasp on it. It wasn't just the objectives he read ahead of time and got there, like the Artican and the Herald. Even though there wasn't fight by the Herald, he was always ready for it. It was also just the body language. When his team was placing Herald, he knew a fight would probably happen. When his team was invading the jungle getting vision, he was always ready for it. He didn't default to, oh, I can make progress inside and I've got Hull Breaker, let me split push, and let his team play 4v4 without him, because he was one of the strongest champs in this game. The chance that they can just win a fight outright if he's there was really high, so he didn't need to go side and risk his team dying while he played selfishly for himself. That's not really the identity of this champion.